The irony hit me like a slap in the face. He told me not to get him anything, and now he's furious that I listened. If love is supposed to be a battlefield, then Valentine's Day is when the bombs fall hardest. Ethan leaned against the kitchen counter, arms crossed, lips pressed into a thin line that screamed disappointment. I stood on the opposite side, my palms sweating, wondering how the hell I had managed to screw up something as simple as February 14th. "This isn't about the gift," he said, his voice low but sharp, like a knife that doesn't cut skin but still leaves you bleeding. I wanted to laugh, or maybe scream. "Of course it's about the gift. You told me not to get you one. Your exact words were, 'Don't bother, it's just a commercial holiday.' So I didn't. And that's the problem, Luke." His eyes burned into me, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. I hated how he made me feel like I'd failed a test I didn't even know I was taking. Ethan, with his messy black hair falling over his forehead, the kind of guy who could walk into a room and own it without saying a word. He wasn't perfect, but he had this frustrating ability to make me want his approval more than I wanted air. "I thought you'd ignore me," he admitted, voice quieter now. "I thought you'd get me something anyway." My heart sank. There it was. Not logic. Not honesty. Expectation. He wanted me to see through him, to call his bluff, to love him in spite of his contradictions. I wanted to close the distance between us, press my forehead to his and whisper that I loved him more than any damn holiday could measure. But my pride kept me rooted in place. "Ethan," I said carefully, "you can't punish me for doing exactly what you asked me to do." His jaw clenched. He didn't respond. And in the silence, all I could hear was the crack of something breaking, not loud, but devastating. The fight didn't end that night. The next morning, Ethan was already gone by the time I woke up. His side of the bed cold, the faint smell of his cologne clinging to the sheets like a ghost. He hadn't kissed me goodbye. Work felt endless. My coworkers joked about chocolates and roses, showing off the flowers their partners had sent. I plastered on a smile, but inside I felt like someone had ripped the heart right out of my chest. By the time I got home, the apartment was quiet, almost hostile in its stillness. Ethan's shoes weren't by the door. His jacket wasn't on the hook. The place looked less like home and more like a reminder that love can vanish without warning. I threw my keys on the counter and sat down at the kitchen table, staring at the tiny wrapped box in my hand. The one I had lied about. The one I swore I didn't buy. Inside was a silver bracelet engraved with the words, "You make the ordinary extraordinary." I had picked it out weeks ago, imagining his crooked smile when he saw it, the way he'd pretend not to care but secretly never take it off. Now it felt like a mistake, a weight, a symbol of everything we didn't say. I thought about calling him, texting him, but I didn't. Pride again, or maybe fear. Fear that he wouldn't answer. Fear that he would answer but only to say it was over. 2 days passed. 2 days of silence. When Ethan finally came home, it was after midnight. I heard the door unlock, the soft shuffle of his feet. I didn't move from the couch where I'd been pretending to watch TV. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, but still infuriatingly handsome in his leather jacket. Our eyes met across the room, and the tension between us was a living, breathing thing. "Hey," he said, like we hadn't been at war. "Hey," I echoed, my throat dry. For a moment, neither of us moved. And then, slowly, he crossed the room and sat down beside me, close enough that our knees touched. That single point of contact nearly undid me. "I'm sorry," he murmured, not looking at me. "I know I'm difficult." "You don't say," I whispered, trying to keep the bitterness out of my voice. His lips twitched, almost a smile, almost not. I guess I wanted proof. That you'd think of me even when I said not to." I swallowed hard. "Ethan, I think of you every damn day, Valentine's or not. I don't need a holiday to love you." His hand brushed against mine, tentative, searching. I let our fingers tangle together, the warmth of his skin grounding me. For the first time in days, I felt like maybe, just maybe, you weren't broken beyond repair. Ethan didn't let go of my hand, not even when the silence stretched too long, heavy with things we hadn't said. Finally, I broke it. I bought you something. His head turned sharply, eyes searching mine. I thought you didn't. I lied, I admitted, pulling the small wrapped box from under the couch cushion where I'd hidden it days ago. My hands trembled as I held it out to him. I wanted it to be a surprise. I just didn't know if you wanted me anymore. The look on his face almost shattered me. He reached out slowly, like he was afraid the gift might vanish if he moved too fast. He tore the wrapping with unsteady fingers, then opened the box. The silver bracelet caught the dim light, gleaming softly like something fragile but enduring. When he read the engraving, his lips parted, his breath caught. For a second, Ethan wasn't the untouchable, confident man I always saw. He was just a boimy boy who wanted to be loved. You make the ordinary extraordinary, he whispered, almost reverent. Because you do, I said, voice breaking. Because even when we're just eating takeout or fighting over the thermostat, you make it all matter. You make me matter. He looked at me like I had just handed him the universe. Then, without warning, he pulled me into his arms, clutching me so tightly I could barely breathe. God, Luke, I'm sorry, he whispered against my hair. I'm such an idiot. I keep pushing you to prove you love me, when you already do every single day. I was scared. Scared you'd get tired of me. That one day you'd stop trying. Tears burned my eyes. I'm not going anywhere, Ethan. You're it for me. Always. And just like that, the wall between us crumbled. The days after that felt different. Softer. We weren't suddenly perfect, our fights didn't disappear. And Ethan still had that maddening habit of saying one thing when he meant another. But there was a tenderness now, a raw honesty that hadn't been there before. The bracelet never left his wrist. He wore it to work, to the gym, even in the shower. When I teased him about it, he just smirked and said, "What? You think I'm gonna take this off? Not a chance." Sometimes, late at night, I'd catch him tracing the engraving with his thumb, his expression soft in a way he didn't show the world. And every time, it reminded me of that Valentine's Day fight, how close we'd come to breaking apart, and how real love had pulled us back together. But the true test came weeks later. It was a Sunday morning, the kind where sunlight spilled across the bed sheets and the world felt quiet enough to breathe. I woke to find Ethan sitting at the edge of the bed, staring at me with an intensity that made my chest ache. "What?" I asked, voice rough with sleep. He hesitated, then said, "Do you ever wonder why you put up with me?" I sat up, blinking. "What kind of question is that?" "I mean it, Luke. I overthink everything. I make you guess what I want. I start fights because I'm afraid of losing you. Doesn't it exhaust you?" I took his hand, threading our fingers together. "Yeah, sometimes it does. But love isn't about finding someone who never makes you crazy. It's about finding the one person you're willing to stay crazy for." His laugh was soft, disbelieving, but his eyes shone. "You're ridiculous. And you're dramatic," I countered, leaning closer. "But you're mine, and I'm yours. That's enough." Ethan kissed me then, slow and deep, like he was trying to memorize the shape of my soul. And in that moment, I realized something I should have known all along. The fight, the hurt, the contradictions, they weren't signs we were broken. They were signs we were real. Months passed. Seasons changed. But the memory of that Valentine's Day never left us. Sometimes, when friends teased us about how Ethan had basically trapped me in a paradox, roll his eyes and say, yeah, laugh it up, but you don't get it." He listened to me, and then he still gave me a gift anyway. And I'd smile because that was the truth. Not just the gift, but the choice behind it. The choice to keep loving even when it was messy. On the anniversary of that night, we didn't go out. We didn't buy flowers or chocolate or overpriced dinners. Instead, we ordered pizza, sat on the floor of our apartment, and laughed until our stomachs hurt. At some point, Ethan reached for my hand, his thumb brushing over the inside of my wrist. "You know," he murmured, "I don't care about Valentine's Day. Not really. But I'll always care about this." "This?" I asked. "You. The fact that you never gave up, even when I made it impossible." I leaned in, pressing my forehead to his. We're not perfect, Ethan, but we're worth it. His lips curved into that crooked smile I loved so much. Damn right we are. And when he kissed me then, the world outside disappeared. It was just us two flawed, stubborn, messy boys who somehow found a way to love each other anyway. Love isn't about getting Valentine's Day right. It's about showing up on all the days that follow the ugly ones, the ordinary ones, the ones where no one is watching. And with Ethan's hand in mine, I knew I'd show up, always, because he was my battlefield, my chaos, my home, and I wasn't going anywhere. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.